Bob Liu from Barwon Investment Partners. Welcome to the Alternative Symposium.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Can you explain Barwon's unique private equity strategy for me?
Yeah, absolutely. We run the Barwon Global Listed Private Equity Fund. The fund has been running for 15 years and it offers investors exposure to a global private equity portfolio. But the main difference is that it offers daily liquidity to investors. Now, we do this by investing in listed stocks. Everything we hold is traded on a major stock exchange. The listed vehicle then holds or invests in those private equity assets or portfolios. So really, listed private equity is the counterpart to unlisted private equity in a similar way that listed REITs are to direct property or listed infra is to direct infrastructure. Around the world, there are almost 800 listed private equity stocks with an aggregate market cap of almost $3 trillion US globally. And we run a portfolio and actively manage a portfolio of listed private equity stocks.
What are the broad sub-sectors within your universe?
So we really cut up the universe into 4 broad subsectors. The core of the universe and the portfolio is in what we call the listed buyout funds. Essentially, these are listed funds that hold your typical private equity buyout investment, your buy, improve, sell strategy. The second category is private equity backlisted companies. These are listed companies which are controlled or influenced by private equity sponsors. We really see this as a way to co-invest alongside a private equity sponsor. But their investment is in a listed company. We also, so that's the equity in the private equity. We can also move up the capital structure and invest in the private debt. So these are listed private debt funds which are making the loans, funding the buyouts themselves. And then finally, to round out the ecosystem of private equity, we can also participate in the fee generation through the listed alternative asset managers. So these are your large listed alternative asset managers, the likes of Blackstone, KKR, Apollo Global Management. Here you're buying the headstock, and so a piece of the management fee stream and the carried interest or the performance fee stream. And often you also have a balance sheet of assets attached to that, to the stock as well.
What benefits does a listed private equity approach have over an unlisted illiquid approach?
Well, for investors, the real benefit or the key benefit of listed private equity is liquidity. To build an unlisted private equity program, an investor would need to first commit to a series of different private equity managers and then wait a number of years for those private equity managers to firstly find the investment and then call the capital and then invest it. With listed private equity, because everything we hold is listed and traded on a stock exchange, our fund is able to offer daily liquidity and no caps on applications or redemptions. And this is also related to the second key benefit. Because everything we buy is listed, the fund essentially has no minimums. And so an investor of any size can gain exposure to a global private equity portfolio that's diversified by manager, sector, and deal type. Perhaps the final benefit, just to round out the question, the transparency is the final benefit. Really, in a listed private equity portfolio, because we are buying mature portfolios, ready-baked assets and investments in the ground, you know what you're getting. You can look through to the underlying assets and you get an already seasoned portfolio of that's diversified by sector, that's diversified by geography, diversified by manager, and also vintage year or maturity.
Can you provide us an example of one of those underlying investments?
Absolutely. So an example of an investment in our fund at the moment is in Oakley Capital Investments. It is a UK-listed investment company, which is managed by Oakley Capital Private Equity. Oakley, the manager, is a leading UK mid-market private equity manager. Their specialisation is really investing or backing entrepreneurs. So really quite exciting companies, exciting management teams, and they've really got a very strong, not only a very strong track record, but a strong client base and following, particularly among a lot of the UK pension funds and large institutional investors through continental Europe.
Bob Liu, thank you.
Thank you, Drew.